I've been driving trucks for about 15 years now. Mostly night runs, because I like the quiet. You see things differently out there when the world's asleep. The highway feels endless, and the only company you've got is the hum of the tires and the glow of the dashboard. I've always liked that part, the solitude. But there was one night, about 5 years ago, that changed how I looked at the road forever. I still think about it every time I pass through northern Idaho. It started like any other trip. I was hauling industrial equipment from Spokane to a warehouse just outside Boise. The weather was clear, the highway almost empty, and I figured I'd make good time if I drove straight through. It was past 10 when I stopped at a small gas station near a place called Pierce Junction. One of those old stations that looks like it hasn't seen a fresh coat of paint in 20 years. A single light buzzing over the pumps, a vending machine half working by the door. I filled up, grabbed a coffee, and checked my tires. Nothing out of the ordinary, until I noticed a car parked near the edge of the lot. It was an old blue sedan, maybe late 90s model. The headlights were off, but the engine was running. There was someone inside, sitting perfectly still. Could have been sleeping, I thought. Happens all the time. I almost ignored it, but as I was climbing back into my cab, I saw the door open. A man stepped out. He was tall and thin, wearing a denim jacket and a baseball cap pulled low. Something about the way he moved caught my attention. Not nervous, but watchful. He looked at me for a second too long before walking toward the gas station store. I didn't think much of it then. Just one more traveler on the night road. I got back on the highway, coffee steaming in the cup holder. The road ahead was long and dark, with tall pines leaning close to the shoulder. After about 20 minutes, I checked my mirrors out of habit and froze. The same blue sedan was behind me, a good distance back, but I knew it was the same one. Same dent on the right fender. Same low headlights. At first, I told myself it was nothing. Maybe he was just headed the same way. But every time I changed lanes or slowed down, the car did the same. Always keeping its distance, never passing. An hour passed like that. The kind of hour where your thoughts start to twist. I tried to calm myself, turned on the CB radio, hoping to catch chatter from another trucker, but the line was dead quiet. Just static. I pushed a little faster, wanting to reach the next town. That's when the sedan's headlights suddenly vanished. One blink, and it was gone. I checked again, nothing. Just black highway stretching behind me. Relief washed over me, but it didn't last long. Up ahead, I saw something faint on the side of the road, a figure standing near the guardrail, waving. I slowed automatically. The beam of my headlights caught her face. It was a young woman, maybe mid-20s, wearing a dark hoodie and jeans. Her hair was tangled like she'd been outside for hours. She looked scared, lost. I rolled the window down a little and called out, "You okay?" She nodded quickly, stepping closer. "My car broke down. Can you give me a ride to the next stop?" Her voice was steady, but her eyes kept darting toward the woods behind her. I hesitated. Every trucker's been told not to pick up strangers, but something about her felt genuine. And it was cold out there. Against my better judgment, I unlocked the passenger side door. She climbed in, shivering. "Thank you," she said quietly. "You're the first person who stopped." I nodded and got the rig moving again. For a while, it was just silence and the steady thump of tires. She looked tired, kept rubbing her hands together like she couldn't get warm. After a few miles, I asked where her car had broken down. She pointed behind us. "About 10 minutes back." Then she paused. "You didn't see anyone else on the road, did you? Maybe a blue car?" The question made my chest tighten. "Why?" I asked carefully. She didn't answer right away. Just stared out the window, her reflection pale in the glass. Finally, she said, "Because whoever was driving it followed me for miles before my car stopped." The cab went quiet again. I didn't know what to say. Outside, the dark trees rushed past like shadows leaning in. That was the moment I realized this wasn't going to be a normal night. If you're still listening, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join Eclipse Horror Stories. We share real, haunting tales just like this one. Stories that stay with you long after the screen goes dark. Your support keeps the wheels turning and the stories coming. Now, let's get back to the road. I didn't say anything for a while after that. The road had narrowed to 2 lanes, the kind of stretch where even the moonlight feels thin. The woman, she said her name was Mara, kept glancing in the mirrors like she expected that blue car to appear again any second. I tried to sound calm, though my hands had gone tight on the wheel. You sure it was following you? I asked. She nodded. For at least 40 minutes. It stayed behind me the whole time. I thought maybe I was overreacting, but then when I pulled off the road, it stopped too. No lights, no movement. Just sat there. Her words ran through my head as I watched the long ribbon of highway stretch ahead. The hum of the tires used to comfort me. That night, it sounded too loud. I kept checking the mirrors. Nothing but dark. After a few more miles, Mara relaxed a little. She told me she was on her way to visit her sister in Boise, and that her car had started smoking near Pierce Junction, same gas station I'd stopped at. That detail made something twist in my gut. I didn't mention the blue sedan I'd seen there. We passed a small rest stop a while later. The lights were flickering, one of those lonely places with a single bathroom building and a soda machine. You want to stretch your legs? I asked, more for her comfort than mine. She shook her head. No. Let's keep going. Please. So we did. The silence returned. I tried turning on the radio, hoping for some music or talk, but all I got was static. Out here, that's not unusual, but it felt wrong that night. Every small sound carried weight. The wind against the trailer, the creak of the seat, the whisper of her jacket when she moved. Then Mara said something that made me glance her way. I think I saw him again. What? She pointed toward the passenger mirror. There. Back there, near the trees. I looked. For a moment, I saw nothing. Then, 2 small points of light, faint and low, like headlights partly hidden behind the bend. I felt my pulse start to climb. Could be another driver, I said, though I didn't believe it. She leaned closer to the glass. He's been doing this for days. I thought if I stopped at that gas station, maybe he'd pass me. But he didn't. He just watched. The lights behind us vanished again. Just gone, as if swallowed by the dark. I pressed down on the accelerator. The truck's engine roared, gears shifting. I've never been a nervous driver, but something about that stretch of highway felt alive. The more I drove, the more I felt like we weren't the only ones out there. Mara stayed quiet for a while. I caught her looking at me, trying to read if I believed her. You think I'm crazy, don't you? She asked softly. No, I said. I think you're scared. And I think you've got reason to be. That seemed to calm her a little. She leaned her head back against the seat. I thought maybe she'd fallen asleep, until she whispered. He said something to me. Before my car broke down. I turned slightly. Who did? The man in the blue car. What did he say? Her eyes stayed closed. He told me I wouldn't make it to Boise, that he'd see me again on the road. The words landed heavy between us. I didn't ask more. The highway curved ahead into forest, trees pressing close on both sides. I kept my high beams on, every nerve awake. It was around 1:30 when I saw movement again, headlights flashing behind us, fast, then gone, then back again, closer this time. The same low pattern, uneven. My grip on the wheel tightened. Mara sat up straight. That's him, she said, voice trembling. I didn't answer. I flicked on the CB radio, hoping for a channel. Static. Then a faint voice, cutting through. Red Kenworth northbound on Route 12, it said. You got company tonight? My truck was red. My rig. I stared at the radio, my mouth dry. Who's this? I asked. No reply. Just the low crackle of static, and somewhere behind us, those headlights growing brighter. I held the mic tighter than I meant to. The voice had sounded close, too clear to be background chatter. I tried again. Breaker 19, who's calling the red Kenworth? For a few seconds, nothing came back. Then, just a quiet laugh, low and scratchy through the static. You didn't answer me, the voice said. You got company tonight? I reached forward and turned the volume down. My heart was beating faster now. Mara saw my face and didn't ask questions. She knew something was wrong. I focused on the road, trying to sound steady. Probably just some joker messing around on the radio, I said. She didn't reply, just kept watching the mirror. Then her voice came small and tight. He's closer. I looked. The blue sedan was maybe 100 yards back now, high beams flicking on and off. The light flashed against the back of the trailer like a warning. I hit the gas, pushing past 70, but the car stayed locked on me, following every move. Maybe he's trying to pass, I muttered, though even as I said it, I knew it wasn't true. The car swerved once, sliding halfway into the next lane, then came back behind me. Over the CB, the same voice came again, clearer now. You should have stayed at the rest stop, driver. Long way to Boise. Mara's hand went to her mouth. That's him, she whispered. That's the same voice I heard. I didn't know what to do. I could call for help, but out here the signal was hit or miss. And the next town was still 30 miles away. So I kept driving, eyes flicking between the road ahead and the mirror. After a few minutes, the headlights behind us vanished again. The road turned silent except for the engine. My shoulders hurt from how stiff I was holding the wheel. I slowed just a little, trying to listen. That's when I noticed a faint light flashing ahead, red and white, like hazard lights. There's something up there, I said quietly. Mara leaned forward. It was a pickup truck parked on the shoulder, hood up, one tire flat. The hazard lights blinked slow, steady. As we got closer, I saw a man standing beside it, waving both arms like he needed help. Normally, I would have pulled over without thinking. Truckers help where they can. But that night, something in my gut told me no. Mara saw it too. Don't stop, she said sharply. The man stepped into the road, forcing me to brake. He wore a dark jacket and jeans, his face hidden by a cap. Hey, he shouted, waving. Need a hand here. I downshifted but didn't stop completely. Something's off, I muttered. And then I saw it. Behind the pickup, tucked just far enough to blend with the shadows, was the blue sedan. The headlights were off, but I recognized the shape instantly. Hold on, I said, slamming the accelerator. The truck roared forward. The man shouted something, jumping out of the way. Mara gasped but didn't scream. The CB crackled again. That wasn't nice, the same voice said. Could have stopped and talked. I kept my eyes on the road. My palms were slick, my chest tight. Who are you? I barked into the mic. What do you want? The reply came soft and calm. You picked her up, didn't you? The girl. I told her we'd see each other again. Mara's breathing hitched beside me. He knows me, she said. He knows my name. How? She looked terrified. I don't know. He talked to me at a rest stop 2 days ago. Just asked where I was headed. I didn't think anything of it. The CB hissed again. You should have listened, Mara. You shouldn't have run. I could feel the truck shaking under my grip. I turned the radio off completely and focused on driving. The next exit sign said Sand Creek, 12 miles. If we could just make it that far, we might find a station, lights, people, anything. But the headlights behind us came back, closer than before. The blue sedan was so close now that its headlights filled the mirrors. The beams washed through the cab, flashing across Mara's pale face. I could see the driver's outline for the first time, tall, hunched over the wheel, wearing a cap just like the man I'd seen at the gas station. He hit his horn once, short and sharp, like he was testing my nerves. Then again, longer this time. The sound drilled through the cab. I pressed harder on the pedal, feeling the engine strain. We're not stopping, I said. Mara didn't answer. She just kept her eyes on the window, whispering something under her breath. For a few miles, it turned into a sick rhythm. He'd back off, then speed up, tailgating close enough that I could hear the tires screaming against the asphalt. Every time I thought he'd quit, he'd surge forward again, staying right in my blind spot. Then, without warning, the CB radio came alive. His voice filled the cab, almost cheerful this time. You can run that big rig all you want, driver. Roads all lead to the same place out here. I grabbed the mic, but didn't speak. What could I say? He wanted fear. I wasn't going to give him that. Up ahead, a sign flashed. Rest area, 2 miles. Normally, I would have kept driving, but right then, I needed to see light, any light. I slowed slightly, trying to time it right. Maybe he'd expect me to blow past it. When the turnoff came, I swung hard onto it, tires screaming against the pavement. The sedan followed, headlights bouncing wildly as it hit the shoulder. The rest area was small, just one dim lamp near a vending machine, but there was another truck parked off to the side, a white Freightliner, engine idling. I pulled in fast, stopping beside it. The blue sedan screeched to a halt behind me. The driver door flew open. "Stay here," I said, grabbing the heavy flashlight from the glove box. I climbed down, boots hitting the gravel hard. The man was already walking toward me, slow and steady like he had all the time in the world. His face came into view under the yellow light. It was the same man from the gas station. Same cap, same denim jacket. "You shouldn't have stopped," he said, voice rough but calm. "Could have made this easier." I raised the flashlight. "Back off. Police are on the way." He smiled faintly. "No, they're not." Before I could say anything else, a voice came from behind me. "Everything all right here?" I turned. The driver of the white Freightliner was walking over, a big guy, mid-50s, wearing a safety vest. He looked from me to the man in the denim jacket, sizing us both up. "You two having trouble?" The man in the jacket didn't flinch. "Just talking," he said smoothly. "My friend here's giving a ride to someone who doesn't belong to him." I took a step forward. "He's lying. He's been following us for hours." The other trucker frowned, glancing toward my rig. "There's someone in there." Mara's face appeared in the passenger window. She looked frozen. The man in the jacket tilted his head, eyes still locked on me. "She ran away. Left something unfinished." That's when I saw the knife in his hand. Not big, but enough to make my blood go cold. The other trucker saw it too. "Hey," he said, voice steady. "Put that down." The man smiled wider. "Can't." Then he moved. The knife flashed as he lunged, but I swung the flashlight with everything I had. It connected with a crack that echoed through the lot. He stumbled back, dropping the knife, hand clutching his jaw. The other trucker rushed forward, grabbing his arm and twisting it behind his back. The man fought like a wild animal, kicking and yelling, but the older driver was stronger. "Call the cops," he shouted at me. I ran to my cab, fumbling for my phone. One bar, barely. I hit 911. Behind me, I could hear the struggle, boots scraping against gravel, the man grunting, cursing. The dispatcher picked up. I gave her the location, voice shaking. When I turned back, the blue car was gone, but so was the man. I looked around the lot, the phone still pressed to my ear. The older driver was standing by his truck, breathing hard, one arm scraped and bleeding. The knife lay on the ground between us. But the man in the denim jacket was gone. Just gone. No footsteps, no sound of an engine pulling away, no sign of the blue sedan anywhere down the highway. It was like he'd melted into the dark. The dispatcher told me to stay put, that officers were on the way. I told her we'd been followed by a man in a blue car and that he'd attacked us at the rest stop. She said she'd send 2 patrol cars, maybe 15 minutes out. It felt longer. Mara stayed inside the cab, watching every shadow outside like she expected him to walk out from behind one. When I climbed back up, she didn't say a word. I could tell she was past fear now. She just looked empty, like she'd been running on panic for too long and finally ran out of it. The other trucker leaned against his rig, trying to keep his hands from shaking. "Never seen someone move like that," he muttered. "One second he's there, next he's gone." We waited together, engines off, the air thick with silence. I kept expecting those headlights to appear again from the highway, cutting through the trees. But the road stayed dark. The cops showed up just after 2. 2 cruisers, lights flashing red and blue against the pavement. I'd never been so relieved to see anyone in my life. They took statements, looked through the area with flashlights, even brought in a dog team later, but they didn't find a thing. No footprints leading away from the rest stop. No tire tracks. Just the knife, the blood on the gravel, and the sound of the wind moving through the trees. One of the officers, a younger guy, asked Mara if she knew the man's name. She shook her head slowly. He told me his name was Drew. Said he was a trucker too. He was nice at first. She stopped talking then, eyes glassy. The cop nodded like he'd heard that story before. They offered to take her into town, but she asked if she could ride with me instead. I didn't argue. We followed the patrol car back toward the main highway, the blue and red lights flashing just far enough ahead to make the road feel safe again. When we reached Sand Creek, they took her statement at the small sheriff's station. They said they'd try to find any reports of a man named Drew driving through the area, but nothing matched. No registered vehicle matching the sedan's plates either. It was like the car didn't exist. I left around sunrise. The air was cold, the sky pale gray, and the road empty again. The kind of morning that makes everything look clean, even after a nightmare. I stopped at a diner just outside town. Ordered coffee, didn't touch it. Couldn't stop hearing his voice through the CB, calm, mocking, too sure of himself. Mara called me a week later. Said she was back home, staying with her sister. She thanked me, said she didn't think she'd ever get in a car alone again. I told her I didn't blame her. We didn't talk long. There wasn't much left to say. A few days after that, I got a call from one of the officers. They'd found the blue sedan abandoned deep in the woods about 15 miles from the rest stop. No driver, no plates, no prints. Just a denim jacket hanging from the driver's seat and a CB radio on the floor. The last transmission on it was a recording, my voice, saying, "Who's this?" The officer said they'd keep looking, but I could tell he didn't expect much. I still drive nights. I still love the quiet, the empty roads, the hum of the tires. But sometimes, when the radio crackles out of nowhere or headlights appear in the distance and stay too long in my mirrors, I can't help but wonder if he's still out there, waiting for another lost traveler to stop. And that's the thing about these highways. Sometimes, what disappears into the dark doesn't stay gone for long.